Welcome back to WesPregame. Tonight we have both the captains from the men's and women's squash team, John and Mary. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. You guys have been playing very well, in the winter and are seeded number 1. Can you tell me about, winning games against Amherst and Williams back to back?
Well, for me, it was really nice because this year I finally got to play different people who I'd never played before. Against Amherst, I'd played the same girl for 3 years, and for Williams, it was 2 years in a row. So it was nice to get a fresh face for both teams, and so it was good for me to just go into the match with a clean slate, and I was able to pull through.
The Amherst number 1 is a sophomore now, so I played him last year when I came back from abroad, and we both went abroad. And being in the winter sport, if you choose to go abroad, you have to miss half of the season. So he had beaten me 3 times last year when I was still sort of coming back, so it was nice to have the opportunity to play him again and actually beat him this time. And then the Williams number 1 is he's also a senior captain, and actually I think both the Williams number 1, it was a senior captain battle at the top.
Yeah.
So it was a very close match with him. 12-10 in the 5th is pretty much as close as it gets. So I was happy to pull that one through this time.
Well, would you say there's a heightened tension playing against captains, on both sides?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting dynamic because you kind of understand your opponent pretty well because we both are in the same position and kind of know what it's like to be leading the team at number 1. So, yeah.
Yeah, and usually you've seen them for the past 3 years, so you sort of know their weaknesses and their strengths, and you come in with a good understanding of each other.
So how does that relationship work out? Because you play against these people very fiercely, but I'm assuming you guys are also very friendly outside the court, right?
Depending on the person. You definitely have, there are a lot of people that, you play them for 3 years in a row and you get a nice relationship, especially with the different class years. When we were younger, there would be a senior or junior who was the number 1, and they would, ask us what we were interested in, and now sort of the tables have turned, and we're trying to do that for other people. But so sometimes you can get a nice little banter going when you guys are reffing, and sometimes it's dead silent.
Yep. And just going back to John, you said you had to do comebacks, after studying abroad, and you also had to come back after that hard game with Drexel. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, that was we played Drexel on Saturday, the day before the Little 3, and it was a very close match. We ended up losing 5-4, and I lost my match, unfortunately, in the 5th game as well, also 12-10 in the other direction. And I had been down 10-5 and had 5 match points against me and battled back to 10-all, but then unfortunately lost it. So matches like those are they're good motivation. You remember I fought for an hour or so, and it came down to 2 points that I didn't focus enough and follow through. So when you get to that situation again at the Little 3 against Williams, you remember that and you think that's not about to happen 2 days in a row.
Well, I'm very happy you remember that feeling and were able to grab both wins against those amazing schools. So you guys are both seniors, both captains, both amazing players that, have the unofficial Little 3 title. So what are you feeling right now?
I'm pretty excited. It was a really nice last Little 3 for me and John as well. It was a really good way to go out.
Yeah, it's always easy to stay humble as a squash player because you tell people, oh, we had a great match this weekend, and they're like, oh, what do you play? And I'm like, I've never heard of that. Is that a sport or just a vegetable?
It happens more often than not.
Yeah, but it's definitely nice. I feel like we have had a big turnaround with the squash program in our time here, and it's nice. I think other schools are really starting to respect Wesleyan as a team, and that's really cool to start to see. They're not saying, oh, whoa, you guys actually have good players. They're respecting us as a team, which is really cool to see.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on to the show tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.